Okay, good morning. I wanted to make a couple of quick points about some of the things that I've been seeing in the discussion board this week as we get deeper into this topic of change and why some people resist change, why it's tougher in some organizations than others, why it's tougher for some individuals than others, and a whole lot of factors that I think people have been addressing really nicely. But there's one more point I wanted to make about it, and this is something I think that shows why in our organizations that we have some very difficult moments when we're in the middle of a change process. So the one thing I thought I'd talk about this morning here is this is very typical what happens. I certainly hope we can see this on the video, but I'm going to draw a graph here. And in this graph, I'm going to make an arbitrary scale of, say, performance level 0 down here. Let's give this center line a arbitrary score of 100. And up here, we'll say 200. Okay, double our performance. That's where we want to go. And we are here right now. That's where we are in our organization, whatever process we're working with. And we put in a well-planned, a well-thought-out, maybe have done all the wonderful things that we should have that you're reading about in terms of communicating change. But we put in a plan to raise the performance level of whatever our unit is here up to this nice 200 level point. Make sense? That's where we want to go. So logically, over time, and this axis here is time, okay, and this is the performance level, you'd expect a nice progression like that, huh? That's where we want to go. That's how you want to get there. Start at where we are, end up where we want to go. Nice, smooth flow. Well, one thing that I've learned throughout my career and through studying this even more, but perhaps more importantly, experiencing it, is, when you start something new, it never goes right the first time, does it? In fact, what frequently happens is we get a little bit into the project, we get a little bit into this new process, and we find out our performance level maybe isn't here at 110. It might suddenly be down here at 80. Why? We're doing something new. We're doing something we're not used to doing. We're taken out of our comfort zone, and we've been discussing in the literature here that a lot of people don't like change. Boy, we take them out of their comfort zone, things aren't working. In fact, how many times have you tried to get somebody to do something different or tried to do something different yourself, and one of the first reactions you get is, I like the old way better. Yeah, that was much better. This is no good. Well, this is fairly predictable. This gap between where we wanted to be here and where we end up here is fairly predictable. It happens a lot. It happens more often than not because nothing very great gets done right the first time, does it? It gets done in increments, and frequently we notice a drop off of performance. And then hopefully what happens is maybe it drops off and we begin to get a little better at what we're doing, and we begin to understand the change, and we begin to understand the new system. And after a certain period of time, we get back to at least where we were before. And then hopefully, if we're real smart, I'm going to get real optimistic, we get really good at it, and maybe we even exceed our original goal when we go up here to say like 220. Okay? Wouldn't that be great? And many times, if the process is followed to its logical conclusion, this is what will happen. This is what you will see. Unfortunately, we're human, we're impatient, we're resistant to change, we're resistant also to failure. We don't like things going wrong. And what happens when things go wrong? Well, the boss comes in and says, hey, wait a minute, we just spent an awful lot of money putting in this new computer system or this new method or hiring these new people. And hey, you guys were supposed to be, we're 2 months in here, you guys were supposed to be here at 110, how come you're down at 80? Well, it's a legitimate question. If you're not intimately involved in the change process, you may not understand that there are probably some very good answers why you're down here at 80. But you don't know that, okay? If you're this guy coming in here, all you see is this big question mark, and it's like, what happened? Why isn't it working? And typically what happens is then we create new pressures on employees. We go back and now start experiencing some of those negative motivational techniques that a lot of you talked about in the midterm. We try again. Many times what we start doing is the biggest money waster, time waster that I see happen, and I've seen this happen over and over and over again, is the boss comes in, sees it's down here, and what do? They scrap the project. Go right back to the old way. The old way is now out of practice, so it's probably not at 100, it's probably at 90, okay? And we haven't made any progress. So the thing is, change and resistance to change are natural things, and natural inertia, natural friction of getting things done smoothly are also opponents of change if we don't anticipate them. If you do anticipate them and understand that the gap here is going to occur, then you understand your job in the organization, right? It's to minimize the depth of this gap and the breadth of this gap. That's where it is. That's what we're trying to do. And keep projects on track. And that will get us back up to a level maybe of performance that's exceeding what we even originally set out to do. But the big danger area is right in here, right in the beginning, when people say, hey, it's not working the way we wanted it to, this change is no good, I told you change was bad, let's go back to the old way, let's be safe, let's do what we always knew how to do. Just a little point that I'd like to make that perhaps illustrates another reason why change in any organization, in any form, is a difficult process. Okay? Thank you very much.